Good evening. I'd like to call to order this special meeting of the Cave Creek Unified School District. It is 6 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 2.3, roll call. All members of the board are present. However, Member Moore is connected telephonically. Members of the cabinet present are Dr. Pletnick, Dr. Hendrickson, Dr. Jensen, and Mr. Dolezal. Item 2.4, consideration and approval to initiate superintendent search. I move that the governing board approve the initiation of a superintendent search process.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Item 2.5, approval of resolution of the governing board authorizing multi-term contract. This is Mr. Dolezal.
President Greer-Busby, members of the board, administration moves that the governing board approve the initiation. That they approve the resolution authorizing a multi-year, multi-term contract.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Daniel, do you have the?
Is
Yes.
there any?
Yeah, we've got a small presentation just to make. Daniel, there should be a slideshow.
I think it's back up
Nope.
to 2.5, right?
Yeah, it's 2.5.
Oh,
Did you share it? All right, so we'd like to, again, this multi-year, multi-term contract has to deal with the stadium, the Cactus Shadows Nest. Giving you some background, life expectancy of our current turf field is 10 years. We are currently in year 10 of 10. Just so you know, even back when I was the Director of Student Services, we had started anticipating this point. So searching and exploratory phases started over 3.5 years ago. Again, understanding we were nearing the end of life expectancy. As we know, we've not had successful bonds, and part of that attempt was going out and looking for sponsorship and funding, and we had no successful sponsorships attempts as well. So our current situation, the key components of this decision, timing first and foremost. So looking at where we are, being in year 10 of 10, exploring options in terms of getting through this year, actually found out that we are in an extremely unique window right now. For the most part, nobody's installing football fields right now because it is football season. So in terms of a manufacturing turnaround, there's a small window. We were able to work with Coach Dixon and talk about, okay, there was one home football game, looking at potentially moving that to a neutral site. And with all this timing, they could actually have it installed by homecoming, which would be the next home football game after that. Talking about costs, rising costs and availability to purchase. So again, because we had started doing this over 3 years ago, I was going out last year, asked Kiwanis for monies, explored some things with them. So we had a quote from last year as we were looking through and continuing to talk with all of the different partners who we've met with, came to us that they would actually honor a price from last year. There's additional concerns, not a concern, a reality that the cost is going to continue to rise. They estimate a minimum of 5% every year, just an increase in goods, an increase in actual material. That doesn't include labor. As well, there's some uncertainty about tariffs or anything like that and what that might do to the price. So ultimately, moving forward this year, we'll save at least $100,000 overall as opposed to waiting even till next year and getting through. So that's another reason for looking at this at this point in time. Looking at financing, again, we know the condition of our capital accounts and where those are. I'm very proud the first year we've actually not moved all that money. So regardless, though, getting through this year, 26, 27, we're financing again. It's not as if we would have the amount of capital just to pay cash for outright and all of that. So regardless of whether it's this year or next year, we'll still be financing it. Again, we're looking at least $100,000 savings at that point in time from capital monies. The other thing we're keeping in mind is students and the future in mind. This is a benefit for our students. It's a benefit for years to come. And just in the future, again, we've set aside $1 million. We've kept it in capital. Looking at financing over a 5-year period, and Dr. Platnick's going to get more into that. But if we pay this off in the 5 years, we do that, we're setting up ourselves and then to continue to raise money to then be ready for the next replacement and so on as we continue on through Cactus Shadows. Athletics, football, soccer, track and field, not necessarily with the turf on the inside, lacrosse, things like that. We have youth programs that use it as well. Just so you have an idea about what that includes, you're talking about the base bid, so you've got the price of the actual turf, the cooling blend, the maintenance equipment to actually upkeep it, and then they always add an allowance that they don't, they're unsure of. So this could actually come back less than that, but that's their estimate in terms of the total there. Ultimately, there's a rendering. It's not the clearest that it's come from there. It does look sharp. Ultimately, it's Cactus Shadows. You've got all the lines for both football, soccer, lacrosse, all of those in there. And moving forward, and we know Coach Dixon and his group is pretty excited, as well as the soccer and people we've talked to. So, Dr. Platnick, you want to talk about finances?
Yes, and Superintendent Dolezal did mention some of the cost considerations moving forward with potential rising costs as well as the current economic conditions with worries of inflation as well as potential tariffs on products moving forward in the future. So again, talking with the company, we're looking at potentially saving 6 figures by doing it now rather than later. We are also, this would be utilizing government obligation contract, and what that means is it does not count towards our debt, such as bonds. So this is a way for government agencies to go ahead and get an obligation, such as purchasing equipment such as a field, and at that point have that contract in place. It is a 5-year term. The life expectancy of the field would be 10 to 12 years with proper care and making sure we care for that properly. As Superintendent Dolezal did say, if we go with a 5-year term, it's advantageous in a couple of ways. By law, 5 years without going into special conditions is really the maximum we can go. And then that still leaves us another 5 to 7 years to begin setting the funding in place for the replacement of the field. As we know, that's why we're currently in the condition we are, is that there weren't those conditions 10 years ago. Now the cost is $760,952. That does have a little flex in there because there is added cost in there just in case there is need for repair to the base or the nailer board on the field. So that cost can decrease just depending upon what the condition after they take up the old turf would be. What that means with this government obligation contract is it would equate to a just over $173,000 payment each year for the next 5 years. Now, making sure we have all of our ducks in a row, we certainly need to continue the work to make sure that over these 5 years and into that 12-year life expectancy, we're doing what we need to as a district. And one is establishing usage guidelines and maintenance guidelines. So we are going to have to look at how we rent the fields out, how much we rent the fields out for, as well as how we make sure we maintain this field over that next 10 to 12 years. So that also means creating and amending any kind of revenue structures. Again, that looks at, we know our cost of the field, how much do we rent the field for, how often do we rent the field, and looking at the wear and tear on the field at that point. And that goes along with that life expectancy and depreciation for it.
And Dr. Paletnik, could you just address kind of the funding for things like this for capital, where it comes out of?
And here comes the old bucket talk. So as you know, in educational funding, there are all these different buckets you always hear me talk about. And there's the maintenance operation, there's the capital buckets, and there's other funds that we can use on the cash side as well. So looking at all the various funds we have available to use, what we're looking at is the capital side, not the maintenance and operations side. So that's where we're looking at those pieces that buy equipment. We're looking at those pieces that are for building, for construction. We're not looking at that maintenance and operations side of the funding that would do other things such as salaries.
And with that, do you guys have any questions?
We're using the same company that the original bid was done from, like just the one that has been going around.
Can you say that again?
Same
Slower.
company.
Yeah, are we using the bid from the? I think what was the school that I think Jill and Gilmore checked out that knew kind of all the ins and outs of the field? Are we using that same company?
You want to know who we're using?
This would be Shaw Turf. So I believe that would be, we've talked to this company multiple times over the past 3 to 4 years.
Yep. Okay.
As well as others.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Is there a warranty that comes with it?
As all products, there is some form of a warranty. The exact details of the warranty, I would have to look at in the Shaw agreement.
And again, it's looking at that, this one that we installed 10 years ago at this point, it really was projecting a lifespan of 10 years. Now, better material, better things. Now they're looking at 12 years. Again, we're being cautious, though, and still giving it that 10 to 12 years in terms of a lifespan.
I would be interested.
And the
in knowing
caveat to
more.
lifespan is maintenance, right?
Maintenance.
Correct. The better you maintain it, the longer it lives.
And
And that's factored in that 14,341.
I was just going to get the equipment is for the grooming of the field is factored into this government obligation contract. The only other additional cost that we're looking at is the watering pipelines that we would have to make sure that we have for the watering of the field. Believe it or not, a turf field in Arizona, you certainly have to water just because it gets so hot here. So that would be part of the construction costs that are outside of that $760,000.
So that's not the 25,258, right?
The watering costs, no. The watering costs would be on top of that, and the watering costs.
Okay.
Again, it would be approximately. It could run anywhere from $18,000 to $25,000 potentially, just depending upon what the current status of our pipes that are underground are.
Got you. And are you hoping that $85K miscellaneous falls short so that it just eats up into that 25?
100%. That would
Okay.
that would be the ultimate goal. Is they pull up the turf and it looks beautiful underneath there. But we'll see.
Oh, fingers crossed, my friend.
Is there additional cost for the care? Like we're talking about changing some things, I'm assuming, to make sure that we're doing everything we need to preserve it for that 10 to 12 years. Will there be additional costs that will incur to incorporate those?
I mean, that's just the logistics. So it would be ensuring that, again, a care plan is brought forth, whether that be using our coaching staff or whether it be utilizing our maintenance staff for the care, whether it be the grooming of the field, the brushing of the field, or for the watering of the field. Again, that would be would just be logistics and again, cost considerations. I mean, anytime you're pulling someone off of potentially one job to do another, that would be a consideration.
But we wouldn't have to hire someone outside to come in to deal with anything.
Outside, no. Our priority would be to handle all of that in-house with our staffing.
And then does the company, Shaw, do they provide usage guidelines? Because I know we've got a lot of good goals in terms of utilizing those to be revenue generating. Factor all that in.
Yeah, Member Ulmer, that's going to be working closely with them on, again, they have the life expectancy 10 to 12 years, but that's based upon X amount of usage. So it's really working with them to establish how many games, how many practices, how often we can use this turf, and really figuring out that model of how often we should to expect. If our goal is to expect 10 years out of this turf, we certainly want to follow the guidelines of, number one, care, but also their guidelines of how much usage this field can take over that time.
And that would be something we bring back and certainly discuss with you as well before making a recommendation and moving forward with that.
If we were somewhere down the road, say in a couple of years, to go out for a bond and it passed, would we be able to use some of that money to finance some of these payments?
Yeah, again, we're in that term where it's 5 years, and that's one of the nice things about extending it out. And I know Member Moore and his capital raise committee that he has, at any point we can find different funding mechanisms to help make those payments over the
And
next
Dr.
few
Plotnick,
years.
it's just got to be more than 1 year. We couldn't do it in year one, but after year one, any point you could.
Well, in a couple of different ways. After year one, we could pay off the turf in full without any penalty. But again, you can look at different funding mechanisms where you go year by year. You can pay 173, raise another 173, or again, if we're able to get the lump sum after year one, we can pay it off without penalty.
But Member Fortney, to answer your question, yes, if the bond goes and passes, that would be certainly something we'd want to indicate. You have to be very specific in your language. So putting that language in there that would cover the field would be written into that.
And just to confirm, it is a simple interest loan. So again, pay off, no prepayment penalty anytime. I know you said no prepayment. Just want to confirm.
Yeah, the prepayment, again, Member Moore, prepayment in those terms, it's that 1 year period.
If we don't approve this, is our field usable?
Yes, we've been told yes. There needs to be some repair on it, so there does need to be some repair. But ultimately, again, it's one of the reasons why I think that this is the best move to go, both from a monetary standpoint for our kids, and then again setting us up in the future better.
At the current state of it, it's really not. There's a safety issue.
We need it needs to be repaired.
Okay.
Other than Kiwanis, did we seek out other sponsorship?
I explored some different grants and things like that. That was again 3 some years ago. I know we're constantly looking at grants. I know we even looked for, when they play the Fiesta Bowl, we looked at applying for when they just roll off that field and they would put it on another one. So we've looked at various things. Again, one of the areas that we struggle in, being the richest, poorest school district in Arizona, is that they look at our property value, they look at those things, they look at title numbers, they look at all of that, and for many things, we fall short of qualifications. But we will continue to explore those. I know, for instance, Cactus Shadows Football Boosters has been looking at some different things and is certainly interested in partnering with us and moving forward to continue to explore those.
Any other questions? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. All righty then. Item 2.6, approval of the obligator resolution of the government obligation contract, presented by Mr. Dolezal.
President Greer Busby, members of the board, administration moves that the governing board approve documents as presented, subject to any modifications by legal counsel. These are the frameworks of the proposal and financing, as well as finance documents.
So moved.
Second?
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Item 2.7, adjournment of our special meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. All right, we are adjourned from our special session at 6:21. All right,
And moving directly into
our board retreat.
the board retreats. Member Moore, I'm going to keep you where you are right now, and we'll see how that sound goes. And then if we need to move you to a cell phone, we'll do that.
All right,
All right, sounds good.
we're going to go down there. 3.1. Okay, our, okay.
Member Moore, I'm going to call you in 30 seconds. Well, as soon as I hang up here, I'm going to call you back.
Sounds good.
We're good.
This reminds me of when dams got closed. Desert Arroyo got closed.
They kept coming back.
I'm having flashbacks to the mask thing. I'm having PTSD right now.
It's, I feel like, where should I
The
start?
sides of me, a picture of me up there. Right, that was a day.
I think I was too.
Oh yeah, they were holding pictures of me because I was such a horrible thing. Yeah. Oh my.
Member Moore, are you there? Okay.
Okay, we're all here. Item 3.1, the governing board norms and commitments, presented by me. All right, since this is our board retreat, I felt it is important that, well, on September 16, 2024, the governing board voted 5-0 to adopt our commitments and collective norms that guide the that guide the board meetings. At this meeting, the board will review their commitments and collective norms. No action, only discussion through a retreat work session will be taken on the commitment collective norms at this meeting. On August 22nd of 23, the superintendent and governing board members participated in the small and whole group activities aimed at establishing collective goals and norms for the CCUSD governing boards. The norms created from that meeting are listed below. All right, so anyway, we're going to go through these, reaffirm them, if we need to reword them, change them, add something, whatever. First and foremost is we keep students at the forefront of our decision making, and I would assume everybody agrees with that.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, since that's why we're in business. And then from there, as we go through these, is there anything that stands out to anyone? I mean, you want me to go through them one by one?
Or if you all have had the chance to review, or if you have any suggestions or changes or additions or deletions, whatever that may be.
I mean,
However you want to do it.
we all did these except for maybe Member Moore, right? With the gal from, where is she from?
Yes.
Yeah, he was not part of this.
He was the only one that was
Correct.
part of it.
But he did revisions last year.
Last
with
year,
us.
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And where
Yeah.
we added one additional one, I think it was E.
Yeah,
Yeah.
into
Yes.
the culture. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the things that I would like, number 7, as board members, we acknowledge the board's role as a policy-making entity that trusts the role of district leaders. that's something that we all, I probably need to make sure we remind ourselves of that. We're not the superintendent, we're not the principals. We are a policy-making board. Our job is not running the school or the school district. And
Couldn't agree more. I think we should change it.
how would you like it changed?
I think it needs to be just point blank to what we actually manage. And I think that might help some of the things that happen in the public too. Is I think that might say, the board, something along the lines of the board sets the policy, and basically the confines of what we do, and then the superintendent manages the operation. The board exercises independent oversight and holds the superintendent accountable for the results. I mean, I think that negates that, because I would say 7 also gets weaponized, because there is a sense of like the board's crossing the lines and be like, hey, board norm 7. And I think the reality to it is that the trust line can go away. It's just a matter of the superintendent being accountable with results. I think that just makes it clean.
So, Dan, are you, like, I feel like you're saying that I call you up or I say something like you're not adhering. I don't remember having really felt any need.
I don't think it was me, but I think it was in one of the emails, like, there was a line of like, hey, board norm 7, and I'm like, if we gotta kind of like go down that path, why don't we just make it simple? I mean, the reality to it is that as a board, it's the superintendent. There's what you do in your operations and the staff under your leadership, that's your jurisdiction. So it should just be point blank. Like, we are the, kind of that policy setting entity, but with the reality of the accountability measure is you, or quote unquote the superintendent. I think if we just make that clean, it just takes out a lot of the
The thing about,
misconception in that whole statement.
well, the thing about idiot proof, right?
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, as soon as you try to make something more idiot proof, they build a better idiot. And so there's no way, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything, that's just how it's always been. But there's no way that you're going to be able to write something that will not have the people say, why are you guys doing this? Why did you do this? Even when it's very clear that it's not our role. As we might have just seen today.
Listen, I do not live in a false reality of pixie dust and fantasyland. I understand that people are going to disagree no matter what. And people are going to hold us accountable to things that maybe we don't have account to. But I think taking that line item and just making it more of the superintendent accountability, I think that alleviates a lot of the noise.
Well, doesn't the accountability fall in the goals that are set for the superintendent?
It does. That's why it makes that board norm kind of tied to that. So it goes hand in hand. So the board norms are, and again, I'm not tweeting them, it's more of like the feel-good sentiments of like, hey, we're going to put students first, we're going to do these things. And then the superintendent goals are somewhat of some of the actions that align to that. So that just makes 7 aligns with the goals. So there's no disputing of like, hey, trust or staff or whatever. It's just, bottom line is, board norm 7, superintendent's doing their job, we go exactly to those goals and we go, okay, like, hands off the wheel. I'm just trying to make it simple.
Yeah, but those seem like they're two entirely different things. We're a policy-making board. We have one employee, the superintendent. Those are two different bullet points, I guess.
Well, we have, I do think that having that, but I do think that it does two things. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I think that the statement in there about the trust, the role of the district leaders is that we're saying we are the policymakers, so we know that the superintendent and others that are running the district are going to do the job based on our policies. That's what this is saying. So I don't know if just changing it to be, and the superintendent does his job, that doesn't seem like a governing board norm.
Are you thinking, Dan, that the word trust then alleviates the ability to ask questions?
Well, you made it right now, right? So board role is a policy, making
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. Like, we're not really.
So you're saying get rid of the words district leaders and make it superintendent?
Like, we actually, twofold. A, the cabinet come back and say, like, and again, I'm not saying that you said this, anybody, I'm just saying you come back and like, keep your nose out of the business, you're supposed to trust the district leaders, period. Well, it's not even our jurisdiction anyways, it's really the superintendent.
So you want to switch district leaders to superintendent?
I think it's gotta be, I just think it alleviates a lot of stuff from our point of view when we interact with this superintendent and so on, and we're kind of setting our norms from the beginning, they're our norms and they tie into what we actually govern.
Technically, it's the only person we're in charge of.
And policy, that's really what we govern.
But when we need, well, I'm thinking of oftentimes when I've had financial decisions, questions, I will go to the CFO to try and get their expertise. That's not the superintendent's deal. Yeah, I know he's our employee, but
But that's totally, that has nothing to do with this line. That's just you interacting, much like I interact with our CFO. Or even, talking to, Dr. Jensen. I mean, that's a conversation that has nothing to do with us managing any level of trust in the district, in their role. But that's just us asking questions to be answered.
Can I try? I don't know if this is it, but, so are you trying to say something like, as board members, we acknowledge the board's role as a policy setting, making, whatever it is, of a setting entity that the superintendent is charged with carrying out?
Perfect.
Like, is that what you're trying to say? Like you guys set that, but then the superintendent is charged with carrying out those decisions. Is that?
That's kind of how that works. Isn't that how this whole thing works?
I mean, I don't think that's a norm. I think that's the definition of how a board works and how a superintendent works,
Do you
so.
want a bullet point that specifically just states that the superintendent that's.
Or just stop after the board's role as a policy setting entity, period.
Period.
And then,
You can do that just the same. I think the other piece either needs to be changed or doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
My opinion. You guys, I mean, again, I'm not playing the hard line with saying on this line.
As a policy
It
making
just reads
entity.
better as a board, as board members, we acknowledge the board's role as policy making entity, period.
do you want something that says, we acknowledge that the board has one employee, the superintendent?
That's a norm and commitment.
Yeah, it's not a norm. That's a definition.
Based on,
Yeah.
well, based on, I'm just asking for
Yeah.
clarification, based on.
But
where
I
you
think
were
that
going with
since the public has access to these, it's good because I think most people think we're an operating board, like a business is run
Should
Right.
should we move number 7 up to like,
and.
Number one,
Just kidding.
up a little bit and maybe put it in bold?
As a policy making.
we don't have
entity,
anything to do with
period.
that. That's our stock answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to mess with where we're at on one. I think one is one. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to mess with students.
I think
Yeah.
7 is fine. I just think maybe striking that line and making it really simple.
So,
It kind of aligns with what we do.
so it would say, as board members, we acknowledge the board's role as a policy-making entity, period.
I like that. Period.
Period.
That works.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, again, I think it's not really a norm or a commitment. It's just, that's the definition. You go out and look at what school boards do, that's what they do. So I'm not seeing this as a norm or a commitment.
Because I think that whole concept of trusts would be, that's what makes it
A
a
norm.
norm or a
Yeah.
commitment,
Yeah.
is that. So, again, if you'd like to just.
Or just change, or do you want to just say trusts the role of the superintendent? Because that's the only person we're technically in charge of.
It's
Hiring.
becomes a mouthful, but
Well, I mean, instead of district leaders, you just
just,
switch it to superintendent.
and trust the role of the superintendent?
Of the superintendent, yeah. Because people think we hire and fire coaches too,
Clearly.
obviously.
No, they don't.
That's what I'm saying. I think that there's some confusion because there's certain entities, and that's why, again, I'm not, it's about clarity, right?
again, I'm not,
That's always going to be the case, but these are published, they're in the front of everything that we are associated to do, so at least we're kind of building some good framework around like, hey, this is our role and responsibilities, and this is how we execute against
Would
it.
it
We
be
have to,
beneficial to have a little column that says, like a job description? This is the actual,
well,
we
again,
use this as
I,
and then have
Yeah.
norms and commitments. This is how we as a collective group have agreed to operate.
again, I think going back to, and that probably wasn't the right thing to say about the idiot proof and all that, but what I was trying to say is that there's no way that we can write a thing that won't get, misunderstood.
Because if somebody's upset,
If they're upset, they'll come at us, and that's fine. That's part of the job. But then, and trying to explain that to people, that that's okay. I mean, you can do that. I mean, I got several emails today about this particular situation right here, and I told them the governing board does not have anything to do with personnel decisions. I actually read the emails and said that we're passing it along. So there will be other situations that are like this. So I don't think changing it to the superintendent would change that. But I mean, it's fine if you want to do that. That trust the role of the superintendent. Would that be it?
But and I'm just brainstorming here. Collectively, when we sit at the dais and when we are discussing any, whether it's curriculum, voting on a field or whatever it is, what we vote on is the work of other people in the district, whoever those
Yeah.
leaders are. So ultimately, we have to have some trust in who is working in this district and supplying us with information.
And I think that's where this came from. I mean, yeah, we're talking, yes, we know by definition of what a school board is that this is our one and only employee, but it's not just that, it's that when we make these policies, we are trusting the people that implement those policies, not just Bill, but the people that work for the district to implement those policies. It's not just Bill. It's everybody that we are making these decisions and these policies for them to take and carry forward.
When one of the admin bring a presentation to us, is that approved by you first, Bill?
I review everything that's coming to the board.
And you would push back, that's not the right word, edit, make suggestions. So when that group brings something to us, it's flowed through you first, essentially.
It's been reviewed. I don't know that, I don't know if float is the right word or whatever, but yes, it's, I definitely review the entire board.
So again, that
Agendas and things like that before.
puts it that our basic trust and oversight, if you will, I don't know if that's the right word either, lies with you.
Because you've also reviewed everything that they've sent.
And then, right, and then they're
And
bringing
now
stuff up
let's-
through you.
Now let's be even more open. I can review every bit of finances that Dr. Putnick does. That does not mean I have the understanding or wherewithal
Yeah.
to do what
I
he
get it.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I certainly have to trust him with all of that. I can review all of that. Again, Dr. Hendrickson is more of an expert in human resource laws and policies than I am. So yes, I might look at it, but there is still absolutely I've got to trust the team and even principals. Okay, I'll look at it, but I'm going to trust what they're telling me unless something is glaringly,
Which is how it is in any organization,
Correct.
education
Yeah.
or not. I mean, that's the way it's got to be. No
Yeah.
one person can
agreed.
Yeah.
know every role or understand every.
Which I was thinking of norms are tied to the points of what, more or less what you control or what your actions are so that you don't get outside your jurisdiction.
Right.
Right.
So I trust Bill. Bill's in charge of his team. Bill
like the idea of either ending it or changing it to superintendent, because that is kind of the flow and progression of things.
I think it kind of helps just from a public looking in. I know we get it. But the amount of times that the public has no idea, whether it be by definition or by norms or
Well, this
whatever.
is our working document. and
Yes.
So it's got to
Yes,
be what.
but this is public facing too.
It is.
So.
And so,
So,
There's a multitude of things.
Yeah.
This is our living, breathing document of what we abide by as a group. At the same point in time, you want to try and remedy as many clumps as you possibly can.
so we're good up to, we're a policy-making entity. That much we're good. We got that far.
yeah.
Okay. Now, do we need some other bullet that acknowledges the superintendent, or we acknowledge that information that comes to the board has been, we trust the people who's put it together, otherwise why would they be in the position that they're in the first place? If we didn't trust Dr. Putnam, well then why is he the CFO? So.
For sure.
So do we need,
Because he hired him.
you hired him.
So
okay.
that's, role
So-
of the superintendent, but if it came through on our HR thing, I don't think we've ever sat there and had a 3 to 5 nay
No,
on
we
an-
haven't, but
something that a
since this is-
superintendent put
I'm
on there.
asking this because it is public facing. Do we need to go as far to say, yes, we acknowledge and state that we trust the information that comes from the superintendent and other district leaders? Do we need to go that far so that then somebody isn't splitting hairs saying, well, what about?
No, I don't
John
think
Doe?
so, because it's gonna happen anyway.
Well, I know
So,
it-
Right.
so,
They're gonna
so,
do theirs.
I don't think,
Are you trying to communicate limitations?
No,
Like
I-
your limitations so like, would it be as board members, we acknowledge the board's role and limitations as a policy-making entity? Like, I'm trying to get at what you're trying to communicate.
Oh, I see. Maybe.
I don't know that that's a norm or a
About
commitment.
the
but we-
board's,
Role is limited to
Might be a norm.
policy-making decisions.
yeah.
Maybe the clarity is because I kind of see where member 40 is going, so let me try this one. As board members, we acknowledge the board's role in policy making entity that trusts the cabinet to execute those policies.
did you write that down? Because I'd like to hear it again.
Well, and sometimes we're not executing, sometimes we're bringing policy change or update recommendations, so we're not, which I guess then.
Well, then it would be our thing.
That doesn't even have anything to do with this line, though. Right now, even the line as it is, that's not the point. But the line is, hey, we are a policy-making entity that trusts the role of the district leaders. I think just trust the cabinet leaders or that execute the policy. Because the statement's about policy. So we're saying, hey, we acknowledge that our role is a policy-making entity.
So then could we just,
Really saying that we won't overreach is the counterpunch over here that we're trying to round out. But it isn't, but there isn't, even in our policies, we can't overextend.
well, then could we just say, leave it exactly like it is here, but then say that trusts the role of the district leaders to implement those policies?
Yeah, that's how we're more or less.
We make the policies, they implement them. That's,
Yeah, that's kind of more or less.
then that,
And that's what we're, I think what Bill said too, that's kind of our limitation.
that's, you go out to schoolboard.com or whatever, ASBA, and you find out what does a school board do. That's what it says. They make the policies, the superintendent and the district leaders implement those policies. So we trust them to do that. We trust that we make the policies, we trust the role of the district leaders to implement those policies.
So that trust district leadership to implement those set policies, to implement the policies.
It will never, it won't stop the confusion. I mean, the thing today, is not the first time that they've thought that we do something that we don't do. I mean, that's happened several times just in the 5 years I've been here. And Janet's got not many more, and you know how many times it must happen. I mean, so it's just going to be a thing, and I don't think, maybe like to Dan's point, I don't think it's saying that we're trying to fix this to stave off that misunderstanding, because I think it's just going to happen from time to time anyways, and we have to make sure that people understand. Nope, not our deal. Maybe this would clear it up maybe a little bit.
Well, if we have a clear understanding of what our role is and how the pieces work together, that becomes obvious with how we work as a board and the decisions we make.
Yeah.
So that's, the whole premise
Yeah.
for this is that we have, a document, for lack of a better way of putting it, that reminds us, when we sit at the dais, how we are supposed to approach whatever is on the agenda.
Yeah.
So we will type them up as so written, and then it would be at the next, on the 9th, we'll bring it as an action item for you to address.
Everything else is good? I think everything else is good.
Any other revisions?
She's out, so it is the same up until entity, and then, so after entity comes that trusts district leadership to implement the policies.
Okay. All right.
We stay in our lane.
We have that as number 8, we stay in our lane.
Yeah, really. And we would like to request
Then we go to speed limit?
Yeah.
All right.
Would love your thoughts, feedback in terms of what you'd like to see for goals this year. We have until September to get those done.
Did we get those?
They're in they're in
be a
the
second sheet.
page 2.
It's underneath.
It's stuck to it.
There you go.
There you go. Okay.
And these are your personal goals for the year?
These are the superintendent goals, correct. So we've typically, and I still do believe that safety is important. I think what we do is academic, so achievement is important. And I know there was conversation last year about a third or things like that, so right, if that's, so, yeah, what would you like to see, again, in safety? All of them are up for discussion and thought, but again,
I like preschool, these topics, safety, achievement, communication, enrollment, knowing what the reality is. Enrollment is going to drop. It's dropping across the country because birth rates are lower. So making enrollment a goal is,
It's a goal that the superintendent's not going to have much of any power to do anything about, and
Okay, so let me play that line for you guys. I appreciate that debate right there, and I would challenge you with this. If it's not on the radar, it doesn't get addressed.
I think
it's
that's.
on the radar. And I mean, we got the next 10 years kind of played out how it's looking, and the statistics are not going to change.
Because please tell me how, again, we haven't seen our enrollments yet, but I'm hearing that if our attendance is up in the elementary grades, and we're not down, that would debunk that sentiment.
Well,
Where we have our biggest fall, if you look at last year's numbers, our biggest fall out of middle school and high school.
to your comment about, well, if it's not a goal, it's not on the radar. Well, at your capital raise meeting, you essentially said that, we need to raise this money, fix the field, fix these other things so that it will help our enrollment and, kids will want to come. So it is on the radar. So to say that if it's not a goal, it's not on the radar, it already is, and you even admitted it was.
Well,
Again, I brought it up from my point of view, not from
Well,
somebody's point
but,
and that's a totally different sentiment.
maybe not enrollment as much as retainment, maybe would be a better
You could do
word for you.
retention.
Retention.
There's a lot of different ways, but also too, I would say, are these goals, and again, I think some of your tactic tells me this is, well, if we put this goal out here, this is tied to money. So not all goals have to be tied to those. So I guess I gotta ask a question, are you guys thinking that these goals are tied to bonus?
No.
So therefore you're being.
Well, be careful, I'm just gonna put it out there, because for the last 2 years, you all have made, so my evaluation is based on these goals. Like that, and the resolution has been passed that the performance on these goals is the performance pay.
Right.
So they are, unless you wanna change that, which is okay, there's different.
Well, and that's probably all negotiated with the new superintendent too as well. With the contract?
You got me
We do.
You got me to get to
I mean,
this.
we could have superintendent goals that are based on, performance, then the performance pay is based on this. We could have totally
But
separate.
there is state statute that you have to decide in terms of how my performance pay will be judged. And historically, it has been on goals rather than, rather than ASBA's version or the different kind of superintendent evaluations that are out there, or the options that exist. So I just wanted to clarify because you said, are they tied?
Yeah, kinda.
Right
yeah.
now,
Yeah.
yes,
But we
yes.
could have separate stated district goals.
Correct.
A goal of the district could be a retention, it could be any number of things.
But who's responsible for executing that
Yeah,
and
of
carrying
a
it out?
district
If you
goal
have
versus-
a district goal, who's in
Well,
charge of it?
I would look at it as, it's a collective thing, it's sort of like, hey guys, this is our goal as a district, let's see how, what we need to do.
Again, I still think it would be me who's ultimately overseeing that, but then again, you might be differentiating between superintendent-specific goals versus, but again, my goals become the
Well,
district
they are,
goals.
but you as an employee, what specific things do you want to evaluate you on?
Well, I like the idea of having enrollment in there, and it's got a lot of nuances too that are, I don't know, almost impossible to negotiate or figure out, because we are the poorest, richest district. You can't hold the superintendent responsible for kids wanting to transfer to Pinnacle. Every time I drive by it, I want to put daggers at it. It's not their fault. For sports or for whatever it is. When you're competing against these schools that are close, that have other programs that we, quite frankly, at this
Can't
point, do
afford it.
not have the ability to offer. So all of the begging in the world isn't going to get a family or families to say, okay, we really like you, we're going to stay. Because they're putting their student first too, and in their mind, they're seeing that particular program, thank
Yeah.
you, as the most important thing for their kid.
So how about I take a shot, I get with my team, and I come up with maybe some thoughts that the third one is somehow is related to that. I'm stewing in my mind right now just about, again, what it could potentially look like.
Let's balance the table. Let's just talk about growth and retention. Let's even make it more interesting. So growth and retention can fall on both student and teacher. Because I think it's important that we
So we would have a superintendent goal that he,
Right there, you'd be able to fix the other things.
so we would have a superintendent goal that he would have to do something about, but that he wouldn't be part of his bonus? I don't know about that. And then there's this other part that is coming to me.
You're starting your first year that way, member 40, so I'm not saying that that's never the case, but first you gotta figure out what you're measuring and work through the notions.
Well, again, so as a special education teacher, I have to write goals all the time. And those goals are, those SMART goals. They have to be specific and measurable and all that stuff. But it also has to have a good understanding of, well, what am I going to do to help this student master this math goal or this behavior goal? And so I'm coming from it from that way. I can see what Superintendent Dolezal does to do these things. I mean, I can see that, the meeting, implementing the Alice thing, going to the teachers, talking to them when middle school math is not coming up. He goes right to the principal and starts talking about what can we do to do that. I'm having a harder time figuring out what a superintendent can do that would really impact enrollment when we know that there's a lot of things that are going against it. And, I'm not just talking about Bill here, but he's the one that would have to be on the hook for some of this. I'm thinking about possibly that next one, and, a superintendent coming into this situation and knowing the nationwide thing, knowing the Arizona thing, and knowing us locally is going to go look at that and go, oh, there's a goal that isn't even close to being something that we could work on, we could achieve. And maybe then they go someplace else. So my question is, what do we envision a superintendent to be able to do to measure that middle school didn't go down as much? And this is why? I don't know. What did he do to do that? Or are there some things? I'm not saying there's not, but I'm just finding it really hard to say what would one person in that position do to meet that goal, whatever it would look like.
Okay, well, let me ask this. I've got a question. Categories, safety, achievement, communication. These are measurable goals, which we use as a measuring stick for performance. Okay. Aside from those, are there other goals? Typically a goal is, where do you want to improve? What do you want to achieve? Do we have a list of those types
District
of
goals?
that are just district goals, something that we can celebrate as a district? Hey, we retained all teachers in all grades across the district. Hey, clap, clap for us.
The counseling department didn't have complete turnover every year at the high school.
Something where
I think that'd be a great one.
I refer to those as working goals.
Yeah.
Where they're just.
But I think that's something that's measurable.
They're taking steps in the direction to get us to achievement.
I'm like, I can give you a SMART goal on some things that I think is exactly what Member Moore is trying to do.
So now let's say we continue
Right.
to go from 300 and something seniors down to 160 kindergarten.
And I don't think you need to look at it that way, right?
Well, but.
Because that's
so
overall
walk
enrollment.
with me
You're going to be
about-
like,
Right, but walk with me on this one.
Yeah,
Ultimately,
yeah.
Numbers are decreasing all the time.
Yeah.
If numbers decrease, what automatically has to decrease as well?
the amount of staff.
The amount of staff.
The amount of staff,
Right.
correct.
So, you know. if
So,
you have
so
to
that's where you can't look at numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's,
Yeah. So, but if we know your fifth grade class is massive, say there's 1,000 fifth graders, and we know they're going to go to Sonoran Trails as sixth graders, our goal is not to lose 10% of them. Let's just say, right, when they go to Sonoran Trails. But our goal is to just lose maybe 5% of them. You know what I mean? Like that is an achievable goal. Like only lose 5% when they switch to middle school versus 10% of our own students that we know are there.
we can pull.
That's a real goal.
Because we've done, and this was actually, when I said, let me put some stuff together.
Yeah.
So we have, Dr. Plotnick's done a really nice job kind of tracking trend data over the last couple of years especially. Like, here's typical loss at each grade, like,
Yeah.
here's just what has been going,
Yeah.
all of that. So, right. So is there a goal to decrease that, to at least maintain,
Yeah.
something like that, which follows a little bit these kind of
It go,
4.3,
yeah,
2.1
because there's some
categories.
grades.
So again, that was in my mind when I said, let me throw some things together as thoughts.
Because it would never be fair to have a kindergarten class that's just tiny and compare it to the amount of seniors, like that type
No,
of
we can look at,
enrollment.
okay, so
But
for the last couple of
but
years,
yeah.
what have we done from kindergarten to first grade?
yeah,
So
Or you can use simple, or you can use simple too. It could be a financial number, meaning with all the things you guys are doing with the, extended learning, what you're doing with low amount, potentially including seniors and some of that stuff, there's going to be this, hey, we may be losing here, but we're net gaining. So really, we're making the district healthy. It just looks different, and it's coming from different sources. So it could actually be, there's a couple combinations that you can play out. And again, that's what I'm saying is that there's
oh yeah, dropout retention.
somewhat of a business esque measurement in here that kind of goes, look, measuring the health of the business and keeping it going, because again, we can focus on safety. I definitely think communications definitely a measurement, and I think achievement is great. But again, we just keep kind of dwindling away, and all of those points kind of become. So being able to look at another measurement benchmark that's kind of said, the measuring the performance of the district collectively, that could be a financial number even. It's kind of what Dr. Clinton's been working on too as well. Like, hey, we went from 100% moving capital to M&O to this year we're at, call it 50%, and next year we'll be at 35%. So we're seeing better management and right siding of the district. Yay, that's a great.
Yeah, more cash.
Thing, right? So again, I think just some of that additional performance metric would be helpful, I think.
Would those be like,
Like
Maybe-
or are they
other things that we're continually tracking and once a month?
Like a business health of the district?
Or once a month we put it either in the weekly update, or we put it, or it's a report, or it's in the consent agenda, kind of like attendant, like enrollment is, that we have this.
Yeah.
that would just show an ongoing, like the ongoing work that's being done.
But is that, so you asked for a fiscal piece, is that not Dr. Plotnick's
Well, that's-
regular financial
Well,
report?
it is.
And so is this
I
really?
mean, but I think if you have like a real simple,
Superintendent goals, that's some of it is the financial responsibility
Oh,
of
for
the
sure.
district. So I think having that as a measurement, and again, whether it's enrollment, whether it's financial, all I'm saying is that if you put an emphasis on a component that's tied to the success of the district, because I hear you guys talk about, well, there's certain things that the district can't manage because we can't control this, they can't control this, fine.
Then to
But
have,
let's put it on something they can control.
well, fiscal management, how, Ryan's working really hard to tighten up spending and
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
ways to save us money. So, do you want that as a hard goal that performance pay is based on, or do you want that as a working goal where, by some number, if some percentage is saved, then, it's cause for celebration or something? How do you want to implement something like that?
I just think it's a good thing as far as performance goes. When you think about the entity of what's being ran, there's a funding again. So safety, I think that makes sense. Communication, I think that makes sense. Achievement, which is scores and so on. And then I think the other piece is
like
all the
business,
financial.
finance,
But I think
business.
that's the other piece that the superintendent's in charge of. It's, hey, am I making a healthy district? Am I making the right decisions with my team and executing against making a healthy, sustainable district? And that ties to money. And that actually encompasses enrollment, because enrollment plays, again,
would you like the metric to look?
Well, that might need to,
What a 4, 3, 2,
or
1
looks like, yeah.
So, all right, well, let me work and see what I can come up with. Again, I'll bring it on the 9th. If it's not satisfactory at that point,
Yeah.
then we have,
To change, yeah,
right, then
time
we
to,
have, we can bring it back to the next one, and all that, but that way you can take a look at it on the 9th, and maybe we'll even just do it as a presentation and for feedback,
yeah.
and then we'll bring it back the following one.
What's the goal this year, right? Like your overall RCT last year was right-siding the district, right? So now that you kind of have a baseline.
Oh, we're not there yet, so that's, I mean,
Well,
that's
The
not
boat hasn't-
changed.
The boat hasn't capsized, so.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But, but like the business side of,
But you've got to stay pretty, like, you've got a good idea. So, again, I think putting some rails to it and kind of identifying where you and Ryan kind of see things and going, hey, I think this year this is the commitment of how I want to, look at this year, what I think, looks like financial right sidings of the districts this year. And this is the goal that I feel good about. Then let's start with that.
What do you see as achievable for this year? Just, as all of this aside, what do you see as something that would be achievable for this district?
I was gonna say,
Asking Bill.
No, I was
she's
confused.
asking me, and if you're asking me right now, I'm gonna say, again, I need to sit with Ryan in terms of that and look at, I mean,
yeah.
well, and I don't want to spoil.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's good though,
Yeah.
what we're talking about here, because, I mean, if we, say this goal was already here before, then Bill would be able to say, hey, look at this, we didn't have the M&O carryover as much this year. That's an improvement
Yeah.
that we've made this year. So if there's things that are like that we can point to as improvements from where we were last year or the year before, then that would be something that,
And-
that you can say, here is something that we did. Or, I don't want to bring up closing the
School
schools really that
closure.
much. But because of the school closures, we were able to do this, and this. So our financial situation is improved this way.
And I think there's a healthy way to present that.
I
know
think
nobody
so,
wants to
too.
talk about it anymore, but
100%. And I think it's very fair. That's what I'm saying. Let Bill go back with Brian, work out kind of what they think a framework and what their goal is, and then we'll meet on the 9th and make that decision.
I like that way better than
Yeah.
growth and enrollment and all that stuff, that's for sure.
And how many, again, how many kids did we bring back in with bringing some of our displaced students, for lack of a better word, back in and goal, like we're still working to bring that in, and that's,
When those kids that are out at ACES and all that stuff continue to come back, that's
Right.
more savings that we can then point to, so.
Correct.
yeah.
Correct, yeah. So it does have, the finance has an enrollment piece to it.
Completely does.
Completely.
Contributing, make a better outcome.
Damn right.
I just want to clarify something. Goals are not gotcha things,
Yeah.
No,
which
no.
they're not. And,
No.
at one point or another, sitting on this board, that was kind of a sentiment that was communicated. That was the feeling that they were gotcha. They're not. This is how, like a roadmap for us to be better, be all that we can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to be clear, like, I have no intention of gotchas. It's just, hey, if we put things into that we're saying, hey, we're measuring these things, we all look collectively like, hey, the board's demonstrating the fact that they're looking at everything. The superintendent's like, hey, I'm all about performance, and so is my team, and then it's like, okay, cool, now we're moving forward.
And these things, that are here right now, they touch on a lot of operational stuff, but it's more student and teacher driven and what they're doing to do that. But this is more dealing with the financial side of it
district, yeah.
and the financial health of the district. So yeah, that's pretty good.
And yes, and that goes well with the community,
Yes.
because what they say all the time, so.
Yes.
Okay, I just got one stupid question. I don't remember what fan this was.
So ultimately, it's a concept that we talked about. It was
At the kickoff meeting?
I
I don't remember.
So ultimately, right, so if you talk about performance, if you want to motivate and inspire, which is what teachers want to do, what leaders want to do, all of that, it's a really difficult concept. It's really hard to do because everybody's so different. So there's this idea that I came across and believe in as a coach and as a leader, that there is one thing you can do that will both motivate and inspire. So I don't have to learn, that you need a hug to motivate you, and you need a kick in the pants, and you need to be told whatever. Like, right. So if you are truly someone's fan, which is this fanness, that's what will actually motivate and inspire, because every human being at their core really desires other people to be a fan of theirs. Look at why social media is so prevalent across, because likes, thumbs up, slide-ins, all of those things are a way now we're measuring that we have fans. So if we are truly fans, go to a classroom level. If a teacher is truly a fan of their kid, then that's going to influence how you act, because I will treat someone I'm a fan of differently than someone I'm not. And then the reciprocal of that is if I believe that you're a fan of mine, it's really hard for me to do anything but be a fan back to you. So now you've created
And not
this
want to
synergy.
do.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if our kids go home and they're fans of their teachers, then the parents become that. And so this idea of fanness is a way where leaders, whether they're teachers, principals, whatever, school board members, that if we do this active, if we are truly fans, that will raise performance, it will motivate it, it will inspire, and it will get to better heights. And there's all sorts of examples of things that I can think of. I've shared from my personal life as well as athletes and things. So that's fanness. And actually this year we're more talking about return on experience. So I may cut that either to just end beforehand or include something like that too. But that was fanness, and we still talk about it in leadership. I think it's important to be grateful and gratitude. So that's the opening of every one of our leadership meetings: is tell me what you're grateful about or an experience with fanness. Anyway.
Okay, anything else we need to add to goals?
No, I think that's good. I
Okay,
think there's a good start.
That's
for me.
good.
all right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It is 7:21.
Thank you, Member Moore.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seems way later, I guess, because we started at 5.